thank you so much for joining us in this side event of Hecho por Nosotros. We are really glad that you were interested in joining us and talking a little bit more about how we can use artificial intelligence with artisanal intelligence to merge it and innovate in local communities. Okay, now that, yes, we are on time already, we will start with this short little video that I hope you can. Oh, well, if you don't listen to it, there is no problem. It's mostly text. This is a short introduction video we always use at Hecho por Nosotros en Animana, just to give a broad view about what we do.
No se escucha.
Me gustaría aprender sobre cómo promocionar el trabajo, digamos, en las redes sociales.
Cuando hacen ustedes un producto hermoso con sus manos, ¿qué es lo que más les cuesta a la hora de venderlo o mostrarlo?
Es lo que yo hago. Mi trabajo es la artesanía de Bejuco y es lo que me gustaría aprender para poder salir a vender en el turismo.
Nuestros clientes, poder llegar a ellos y aumentar nuestras ventas.
¿Cómo construimos una buena historia que pueda lograr ese objetivo de atrapar o hacer memorable lo que queremos transmitir?
Siempre y cuando manteniendo nuestro toque ancestral de nuestras técnicas que utilizamos.
Yo soy parte de Hecho por Nosotros, estoy en el equipo de Capacity Building.
A la persona que te lo compre le va a dar como una sensación como más de libertad, ¿no? De paz. Me llena, o sea, me gusta.
Y la idea hoy es arrancar con la parte de hojas de cálculo y familiarizarnos un poco con esta herramienta.
Mi pasatiempo favorito es surfir. Me divierto surfiendo.
Rejilla, relindos y punto de cruz sobre tela de los bordados antiguos.
Y bueno, y quedamos atentas a cualquier cosa que ustedes necesiten.
Que nos sigan enseñando muchas cosas más.
Bienvenidas, bienvenidos a este espacio de colaboración, de co-creación con Animaná y Hecho por Nosotros.
Well, we can begin with this so important and interesting meeting at the high-level political forum, this side event of Animaná and Hecho por Nosotros, that aims to reunite so many voices, stakeholders, actors, and people around the world looking for this journey of systemic change. Today I am honored to receive each of you and very thankful, first of all, and would like to give the voice to Martina Blanco, representing the youth and the global collaboration of students and professionals around the world. Thank you, Martina.
Thank you, Adriana. Well, as Adriana mentioned, I am a coordinator of international projects here at Hecho por Nosotros. And well, good afternoon, evening, morning to everyone, and welcome. It's a really great honor to have you here today for this side event. Our session is titled From Artisanal Intelligence to Equitable Innovation, Advancing the 2030 Agenda Through AI. And with this in mind, we want to explore a fundamental question together about how can artificial intelligence amplify rather than replace the ancestral knowledge and creativity that have sustained communities for generations. In my case, I have seen it like with a lot of people that are leaving those spaces looking for better opportunities. And so you end up with communities that are slowly losing their youth. And that's why I think with AI, it's a great way to start re-engaging the youth in this artisanal knowledge, as well as be a medium to connect with older generations that maybe are not as well versed into how AI can help them. But yeah, that has been a little bit, and well, in our journey with Hecho por Nosotros for over 17 years already, we have been mostly interested in doing this collaboration, this co-creation, and now with AI as like a new actor, that is what we are seeing in this moment, of how we can amplify voices through AI instead of getting left behind. So thank you, Adriana, back to you.
Thank you, Martina. Well, I would like that we do together like a short journey across the different areas of Hecho por Nosotros through these 17 years. We have hold a goal how to co-create with indigenous people, with local economies. Me, myself, has had experience many years ago when I was born in Patagonia, the lack of local opportunities in order to embrace local culture, all the beautiful of our local economies that are, let's say, more than 90% of our world, where really people exist, where really creativity and connection with earth, with others, traditions are alive. And our system creates this enormous gap, no, among local economies and the world that is condensed in our cities. So today we are in this session looking for the great opportunities that we can find together in order to transit this systemic change, this journey together. And of course that artificial intelligence can be such a powerful tool to make it happen. But we need really to embrace this co-creation and collaboration. So I would like to do a journey, how we intend to collaborate to this journey, to integrate the different actors, and how we embark in this beautiful experience and download what we call the University of Systemic Change, that has like three key areas: one for consumers, professionals to experience and learn the different opportunities and the different challenges and the different tools, and not to be everyone inventing the wheel, but taking other experience in order to continue weaving this beautiful piece of knit worldwide. So in this journey, I would like to invite Trish Langman to tell areas of the toolkit. Ada Rodriguez, if she's there. Alexis, talking about the area of United Nations. And then we will go with Nicolas Amartey. So, Trish, would you like to begin?
Hi,
Thank
everybody. Hi, Adriana. Welcome, everyone. Yeah, so I'm Trish Langman, and I run mostly work with the educational initiatives at Equitable. Just want to say that when we talk about AI, it's easy to focus on technology itself, but from a perspective as an educator and someone working in the creative economy, I think AI is really about the people and about whether we equip people with the knowledge and confidence and the opportunities to shape technology rather than simply just having to adapt to it. So in the Global South, education has always been one of the most powerful drivers for economic mobility. And today, AI literacy needs to become part of that equation. So not just for engineers or computer scientists, but for artists and artisans and entrepreneurs and young people building creative businesses of their own. The creative economy is one of the biggest growing sectors in many countries across the global South. But too many talented creators, it's really hard for them. And AI literacy needs to be part of something that they can be part of. But we need to think about technology and the training and the networks and the business and the skills needed to use it effectively in these communities. So it can help teach artisans how to reach new markets and preserve cultural heritage and improve storytelling, help them translate their content and strengthen small businesses. So at Hedgerow, we have been putting this all into practice. We've developed a practical toolkit and toolkits, I should say, that help artisans, creative entrepreneurs, sustainable businesses, but still embracing digital innovation. Through HXN University initiatives, we provided education that combines entrepreneurship, sustainability, cultural heritage, and emerging technologies so that creators can compete in the global markets while staying rooted in their local traditions. So what we've learned is that technology alone doesn't create transformation. It really is about collaboration and listening and building capacity building in different communities. So I'm excited for today for you to learn more about some of the other areas that we work in. But in the educational area where I work with, we are hoping that we can, still keep promoting this idea of collaboration.
Thank you, Trish. Ada Rodriguez, are you around?
Yes. Hello, everyone. You can hear me? Perfect.
Yes.
So yes, my name is Ada Rodriguez, and I'm the Circular Economy Team Lead at Hecho por Nosotros. And today I would like to briefly introduce our circular economy team and also the Erasmus project of Fashion Skills for Better, where Hecho por Nosotros is a partner. So yeah, over years, our circular economy team has been working with SMEs and artisan communities to make circular economy concepts more practical and more accessible through case studies, practical guides, also interviews. And with all of this, we identify the real needs and translate sustainability concepts into tools that support more circular and resilient business models. And on the other hand, we have this Erasmus project that is called Fashion Skills for Better, that brings together 9 partners from Europe and Latin America. Hecho por Nosotros is one of these partners. And what we do in this project is to strengthen the fashion sector through education and also collaboration. So together we are developing living fashion labs that connect educators, SMEs, and local communities to foster innovation and accelerate the transition towards a more circular and inclusive fashion sector. And if you like to learn more, we invite you to join Lab 1 to explore our work on circular economy. And also we have Lab 7 that you can discover more about the Fashion Skills for Better project. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ada. And this project that now is a reality was born with the vision of Hecho por Nosotros, a collaborator that came from the Chamber of Commerce from Italy in Spain, asked me to write together a proposal. And while this was 5 years ago, and now it's approved. And so I think that many times this great and profound effort to go deeper into solutions that sometimes are not so marketable are so important, no? And well, we hope to continue scaling up the sharing of this solution worldwide. Alexis Solis, are you there?
Hello everyone, welcome everyone. It's a privilege to host this side event. As we gather to advance the 2030 agenda, I want to reflect on what it's mean to be a young leader in this space. Too often you are invited here as observers, but through my experience with Hecho por Nosotros and other UNUS, I have learned that we are the architects of the present. In this ecosystem, I have seen that technology is not just about automation, it's about amplification when we merge ancestral intelligence with AI and evidence based solution. We are not just creating project, we are building system and change to ensure not one is left behind. Our role is to act as a bridge. We are the generation that refuses to choose between cultural identity and technology advancement. Instead, we use innovation to project our heritage while scaling our impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexis, and congratulations for your work. And is Marcos here? Marcos,
Lo veo en la sala.
¿lo ves?
Hola,
Sí, ahí está.
Ahí está.
hola, buenas tardes Adriana, ¿cómo estás? ¿Qué tal?
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Bueno, un placer tenerte aquí, es un orgullo y bueno, queremos escuchar tu voz, tu presencia representando las distintas comunidades y el sentido más profundo de Animaná hecho por nosotros. Gracias, Marcos.
La verdad que un orgullo para mí, para mi comunidad desde acá de la Puna Jujeña. Me siento orgulloso por participar y por darme esa participación en estos eventos, Adriana, todo tu equipo. Eh, la verdad que me siento contento y seguir participando, apoyando a mis comunidades que están en esta cuenca de la Puna Jujeña. La verdad que muy bueno lo que haces por los distintos artesanos, distintos emprendedores de todo el país, más de internacionales también. Yo creo que es un buen digamos, para todos los pequeños productores, ganaderos, artesanos. Y la verdad que en este evento me siento contento para poder desplayarme eh, y apoyar a mis comunidades y a todos los que escuchan esto, porque la verdad que es muy bueno estos eventos, más el tema del IA, de la inteligencia artificial y también lo que a no perder nuestros saberes ancestrales que también viene de la mano lo que es la artesanía, eh, la artesanía en lana y fibra de llama y oveja, lo que nosotros producimos aquí en esta puna jujeña. Y la verdad que muy contento, Adriana, felicitarte y bueno, ya estaré en el evento, en el próximo evento y agradecerte, Adriana. Muchísimas gracias.
No, gracias a vos, Marcos. Well, I have to say that Marcos is the best student at Hecho por Nosotros University of Arts and Crafts. And thank you so much. He represents a community from the north area of Argentina. And we have been co-creating and co-learning with him, his community, at this university and creating tools that serve to welcome so many other communities. So thank you so much, Marcos. And I would like to give the voice to Nicolas Amartey. Hello, Nicolas. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. And thank you very, very much for this wonderful event that we are all participating in. So I'm the founder of Agripreneurs Africa and a partner of Hecho por Nosotros because I love what they are doing. I'm really pleased to collaborate with this remarkable organization in scaling inclusive technology solutions across the global fashion and textile industry. I think you have mentioned a lot. Adriana has also talked about it. Today's conversation reminds us that artificial intelligence should not replace artisanal intelligence. It should rather amplify it. So technology must strengthen the traditional knowledge, protect the cultural heritage, and expand the ability of small and producers and artisans to participate meaningfully in the global market. We have a lot of tools, but one that I think can make a change is an AI-enabled marketplace, which I think Adriana has been passionate about because it presents a lot of opportunities for every actor within the fashion sector. As an example, we know this marketplace can connect artisans directly with buyers, with designers, with investors, even with technical experts and sustainable brands. And through this, it can create new spaces for producers to exchange knowledge, learn from one another, and also make informed business decisions. So it is not just about access alone, inclusion, but producers also need the skills, the infrastructure, the decision-making power to make this happen. And I think that is what Hecho por Nosotros has been doing over these 17 years. But we realize that the scope is really wide and we cannot do this alone. A lot of progress has been made, but more is still needed to be done, especially when AI continues to advance across every sector. And so no one must be left behind in this process. We are therefore working with strategic partners and building sustainable alliances with producer organizations to make really this happen. Therefore, if you represent an organization seeking to create sustainable impact, or you are a professional looking for opportunities to make a lasting contribution in this sector, we want to hear from you because we believe in collaboration. We believe that we cannot do this alone. And we also believe that the available solutions within the systemic space require collectivity. And so we look forward to working with each and everyone together. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicolas. We have the best ambassador to scale up the solutions, the sharing. So it's an honor to count with you. Thank you, Nicolas, so much. Well, I give again the turn to Martina.
Sure. Thank you, Adriana.
We can begin with the agenda.
Yep.
Welcome, Radhika Shah.
Mhm. Yep. Well, so in this case, we are really excited to welcome Radhika Shah. She is the co-founder and co-president of the Stanford Alumni Alliance on Innovation for Global Impact, as well as the co-founder of the SDG Digital Transformation Lab. She has been working on AI, digital transformation, and global innovation ecosystems for social impact. She is a technology and impact investor connecting innovation, entrepreneurship, and sustainable development while bridging gaps in Silicon Valley, academia, philanthropy, and the United Nations. So, Radhika, the floor is yours to start this amazing conversation. And again, thank you so much for joining us uh, time and time again in these events.
Thank you. Thank you, Martina Adriana. Greetings from California. I would like to begin by thanking Ashoka Fellow Adriana Marina for her relentless efforts over the years at Hecho por Nosotros and Animana to help improve the lives and increase agency of indigenous and grassroots artisans across Latin America and beyond. We live in a moment of rapid change, a moment that can become one of unprecedented opportunity if we can responsibly harness the power of AI, this new electricity of our times, and combine it with the power of ancient ancestral knowledge, skills, and cultural wisdom which the indigenous and local grassroots communities around the world have cherished and conserved for millennia. How then can we bend the arc of the AI transformation towards equitable AI innovation that not only preserves and protects, but also enhances and amplifies artisanal intelligence? My own work is around bridging tech innovation with cross regional, cross sectoral collaboration. At the SDG Digital Transformation Lab, we're bringing together academics, UN leaders, impact entrepreneurs, grassroots communities, and policymakers, bridging advanced technologies, including AI and data science, with multi stakeholder roundtables. The lab facilitates co ideation, co creation of innovative solutions, advancing the Sustainable Development Goals. One thing AI is very good at is rapid combinatorial optimizations across huge sets and large data sets and pattern matching. Perhaps we can channel this ability to discover common heritage, interconnectedness, and even the common ancestors of diverse grassroots and indigenous peoples across a vast region. Perhaps even a common ancestor of the languages, a proto mother language. This could help not only preserve ancient heritage, culture, and languages, it could help these communities feel more connected, leading to deeper collaboration and increased sense of agency, whether in negotiations with governments or with large corporates in the fashion industry. AI could be leveraged to design educational aids that share knowledge about cultural heritage and ancient skills with the next generation youth. Cultural heritage is not static. AI could help discover how an indigenous culture has evolved over time and help local communities learn more about how their heritage has changed. Such discoveries could be integrated into local school curriculum. AI could help discover and connect heritage and stories around products. It could link this knowledge to the product along with the story of the individual artisan who made it, leading to an enhanced digitally complemented product, thus conserving cultural heritage and increasing the product's market value. In this manner, it could be an amplifier. And yet, all this only works with the right sovereignty models and guardrails. Only if the local data and stories are protected, only if ownership stays with the community, only if we have the right regulations. In order to foster equitable innovation and access to digital and AI infrastructure is critical, both tools and training. Hecho por Nosotros is building a toolkit, a platform of sorts that we heard about to offer access and training to digital innovation tools and techniques to local artisan communities. This is designed in a manner that the grassroots have agency on what they want to use on their own terms while having ownership of the knowledge and data. So they can co create solutions that bring the best of ancient wisdom and frontier tech innovation. I really admire this work. I have been inspired by the synergies between Hecho por Nosotros and the Copacan indigenous camelid herders residing in the high Andes. Now the Copacan who've no banks are able to do transactions by leveraging blockchains. They have solar power but no electricity. They're able to combine the best of ancestral herding techniques with the latest techniques on sustainable animal husbandry. As new AI innovations get embedded into the Hecho por Nosotros digital infrastructure, perhaps these herders can receive guidance on how to effectively and sustainably optimize usage of the grazing pastures based on satellite images of grazing fields over time, combined with real-time weather conditions and predictions that the AI could analyze. Perhaps with training and AI infrastructure, over time, the Copacan could create applications that capture and embed the heritage and the stories of the beautiful camelids that we saw earlier into their products, thus enabling the product and preserving the heritage and amplifying artisanal intelligence. They could digitally preserve heritage, ancient wisdom, and language for future generations via AI, enabling the youth to be effective custodians of the heritage. Even if these youth move far away, these young changemakers could take along perhaps even a digital twin of a favorite camelid. At the recently launched Stanford Alumni Alliance, we are aiming to mobilize deeply purpose-driven engagement among alumni, young student change makers, and organizations addressing real-world challenges around innovation, including AI for global impact. Thank you to Hechos por Nosotros for convening this generative dialogue and for always advancing systemic change, keeping artisanal and indigenous communities front and center. Thank you.
Thank you, Radhika, for your everyday work and commitment worldwide in order to integrate technology and to motivate youth and students at a very high level in order to be looking at the grassroots, how to really integrate the technology for good. And of course, for your being part of the family of Animana and Hecho por Nosotros. Thank you.
It's an honor to be part of the family.
Thank you. We will continue the conversation afterwards.
Yep, and in this case, we are now welcoming Robertson Work. He is a non-fiction author, social ecological activist, and former UNDP Principal Policy Advisor for Decentralized Governance, NYU Wagner Graduate School of Public Service Professor of Innovative Leadership, and Country and Regional Director of the Institute of Cultural Faith, with over 50 years working in over 50 countries already. Welcome, Robertson. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Martina. And thank you, Adriana and Hechos por Nosotros and Anima for inviting me to this event. My background is in community development, local governance, decentralization, organizational development, leadership development, and mindfulness practice. So I would like to focus at how to scale up ancestral knowledge and indigenous wisdom. I'm grateful for having lived and worked in traditional villages in South Korea, Venezuela, and Oklahoma, where I encountered the wisdom of the local people and their cultures. On the island of Jeju-do in Korea, I was touched by centuries of honoring people and the land. In Venezuela, I learned how the Venezuelans with ancestors from West Africa had much to offer their village and country. In Oklahoma, I lived for 2 years in a small town of people of the Comanche tribe. In a festival of hometowns with our nonprofit held with the community, I was touched by the Comanche customs, dances, and style of being. I had not been familiar with Native American traditions. Suddenly, I was living them and dancing them in a Comanche ceremony. Indigenous wisdom includes much that is of critical importance to humans in the 21st century. We must rediscover that we are part of the living earth, along with other animals, insects, plants, fungi, soil, water, and air. Earth is not only our mother, but we are still part of her body. Indigenous myths and stories often present the ideal just society, not a utopian future, but as a blueprint given by the Creator. Rather than the top-down governments, these narratives emphasize radical equality, consensus-based decision-making, and a deep moral obligation to share resources without the expectation of reward. For example, the Cherokee people have a story of the unseen helpers. Rooted in the values of the Cherokee Nation, this story illustrates a society where selflessness and hospitality are the highest cultural values. Indigenous knowledge and wisdom can help lead modern society to achieve ecological regeneration, participatory democracy, social justice, and peacemaking. If we cannot do this, and if we continue to destroy the Earth's natural ecosystems and species, we will make life on Earth more and more difficult for all living beings. Our Indigenous sisters and brothers can lead us and show us how to be responsible, humble, caring Earthlings. As for artificial intelligence, we humans must ensure that AI has public governance and supervision, is safe, and it doesn't use too much electricity and water, that it makes compensation for people's intellectual rights, that it doesn't de-skill people's thinking and writing, that it doesn't take away people's jobs and income, and that it provides a universal basic income for all people. We need to pass legislation that ensures that AI is not harming people and nature. We must limit the number of AI data centers. We need to pass legislation that makes AI companies owned in part by the public, as Senator Bernie Sanders in the US and others have recently proposed. Educators and parents can limit the use of AI in schools and at home. We need to pass legislation that ensures that people will have employment and or financial compensation in any case. So Myron, I just have 4 recommendations. 1, we need to conduct participatory community development in Indigenous communities, utilizing group facilitation of strategic planning and implementation. Communities can be asked, what are your dreams and hopes for the future? What obstacles do you face that could block you? What are your strategies and actions that to deal with those obstacles and move toward your vision? We need to use AI and online technologies to promote these methods. We need to identify the practices and styles of Indigenous leadership. If Indigenous leaders agree, we can strengthen their leadership methods with group facilitation, social artistry, integral thinking, and mindfulness. We can use AI and the internet and share these practices. 3, we need to strengthen Indigenous governance processes and share them with other communities. We can identify and honor Indigenous methods of collective decision-making and action. We can share these methods online, through AI, in mass media, in face-to-face gatherings, and in public policy making. 4, we need to use AI with the permission of and in dialogue with Indigenous communities. We can discuss AI with Indigenous leaders and groups to see how they would like to use AI in their own conversation and planning, and to communicate their wisdom to others. If we use AI in an ethical and equitable manner, we can expand the impact of Indigenous wisdom at this critical time of climate disasters, ecocide, oligarchic fascism, armed conflict, and wealth inequality. The founders of the US were influenced by Indigenous governance practices that they encountered in North America. My hope is that this can be brought more and more into the mainstream of good governance practices around the world. I would like to thank each of you for what you are doing and contributing in this very challenging time. And thank you, Adriana, and your team for your leadership in this endeavor. May all beings flourish as part of the living earth and realize peace, happiness, understanding, and compassion. Breathing in earth air and breathing out earth air, may we be safe and healthy and offer our contributions to the earth community through compassionate actions that help relieve the suffering of all beings. May it be so. Thank you.
Thank you, Robertson, for these beautiful words, your experience, for being here. It's a pleasure, and we will continue discussing in the second part. Thank you so much. It's an honor.
Okay, now, after all those beautiful words from Robertson to keep having faith on the world and what we are doing, we are presenting now Agustina Bricio. She is a lawyer and public policy specialist with over a decade of experience at the intersection of AI governance, digital rights, and public sector innovation, focusing mainly on Latin America and the Global South. She currently serves as Innovation and Digital Technologies Coordinator at Asuntos del Sur, and she gives lectures at universities like Universidad de Palermo, la Universidad de Buenos Aires, and Flaxo. She holds an MPA in Digital Technologies and Policy from the University College London and has previously served as Undersecretary of Information Technologies in Argentina, where she led the country's first AI governance recommendations and second national cybersecurity threat. Thank you, Agustina. The floor is yours.
So thank you, Martina, and thank you, Adriana, for the invitation, for hosting this kind of spaces. It's always interesting to find new intersections of technology and thinking AI from different perspectives. My prior speakers have been really interested. I'm more eager to listen. But here, for this place, I'm representing Asuntos del Sur. We are a global South think and do tank. We work on democratic governance and digital policy across both Latin America and in a lower minor in Africa and the Southeast Asia. So today, the question, I think it's not only what can AI do for ancestral knowledge, but it's also the question that should be a little before that, which is under which rules we think AI actually meets that knowledge. Because I believe, and we believe in Asuntos del Sur, that without clear rules, technology doesn't only have the risk of amplifying inequalities, but also to extract knowledge and to extract rights and to deepen the high and unfair situation we live in our societies. So from Asuntos del Sur, we spent more than 15 years now working with local governments on data governance, in collective intelligence, in public innovation, and we learned something that applies directly to this debate. Artificial intelligence and what you're calling artisanal intelligence are both forms of dispersed knowledge that only can generate value when it is well coordinated. So the governance question is the same in both cases. Who decides how that knowledge is segregated and who benefits from it? I think that's part of the core things we should be targeting our energy. I recently worked with a European philanthropic in order to map different organizations and projects in Latin America.
Oh, I think we lost Agustina.
Yeah.
I thought it was my internet for a moment.
Yeah. A ver si... Agustina. Okay. Well, I think we can continue. If she comes back, we continue with her exposition. Okay.
Oh, there. Yes. Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah. Once she's back, we can give her the floor again. So, okay. And now continuing, one of our last speakers to have the floor here is Luigi Galimberti. He is the vice president of That's Contemporary, a Milan-based social enterprise working at the intersection of visual arts, cultural production, and innovation, which runs Casa degli Artisti, one of Italy's oldest and largest arts residences, formerly at Tate and at University of the Arts of London, where he managed the business of fashion, textiles, and technology creative industries cluster. Luigi specializes in social impact and cultural policy. He's an advisor of Res Artis, the world's largest art residences network, and founder of the Premio Open Borders in support of Paraguay's art sector. He holds degrees in sociology and management and advises foundations and public bodies on strategy and development. Yeah, thank you for coming, Luigi, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Martina, for the lovely introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. As Martina was, and thank you, Adriana, especially. As Martina was mentioning, I run a social enterprise called That's Contemporary. We are based in Milan, but active all over Europe, as well as in countries such as India, Saudi Arabia, or Morocco. And yes, we do work at the intersection of arts, crafts, and social impact. And I think this intersection is fundamental because arts and crafts are twins. They were separated very, very late in their life, probably second half of the 18th century. But social impact, I think, is the key word that gives sense to our conversation. At the end, social impact is what separates artistic and artisanal creation and invention from industrial exploitation. AI is definitely a good talking point, but I think it is just another step in the long waves of industrial revolutions, starting from the 18th century onwards. AI is, of course, an amazing tool, which can and is being used by artists and artisans. It is also a tool that has been shaped by artists and artisans. So I think this narrative must be also clearly stated. Actually, artists are and have been inventors. The first experiment of, for instance, of artists with computing dates from the 1950s. And from the 1960s onwards, they were working together with academics, visual artists, at the origin of AI. So there's a very, very strong link. And I think AI as artistic intelligence or artisanal intelligence is a very, very good way and interesting way to put it. Arts and crafts are, I think, first and foremost, ways of expressing oneself. And I think the work that we do with our social enterprise is exactly to allow for freedom of expression, but also arts and crafts as meaningful and dignified work. Again, linking what we do as artists, as artisans, as managers, as policymakers, as researchers with social impact. Technology is an opportunity, AI is an opportunity. Some of us use it a lot, some of us use it very little, and will probably use it very little for the rest of their lives. I think the focus of a community such as ours is definitely about establishing and reinforcing formal and informal networks globally. We are doing this right now, by the way, as well as thinking, writing, making, but most importantly, sharing. A small point that I wanted to add to this conversation is that AI and its chief architects, particularly in certain countries, such as the United States, are very close now to the center of political power. And this is, I believe, where the decisions that will affect all of us will be made in the coming years. We must make ourselves visible, more visible in public life to ensure that diverse voices are heard and represented. And actually, as both Agustina and Robertson mentioned in their speeches, ethics and law are also two very, very critical dimensions that can shape the future of AI and our future too. And the environment is another one, because I've seen actually quite a few people with a background not too dissimilar from mine. So either natural landscape or even spatial landscape in case of Robertson. I think he has outdone us. But I think environment is definitely environment as a way of living together, which of course is at the core of any conversation about indigenous life. But also environment as the counterbalance of AI as an extractive resource, or AI as a kind of as a new mining in a way, in terms of what it does. So I think that our effort collective is about giving sense, meaning, and direction to AI, and to never think that the game is over and that we are less powerful than those we see on the headlines of newspapers. We are definitely not, as a collectivity, as a diverse group of people across ages, professions, and countries. And I look forward to engage in the discussion later today.
Thank you, Luigi, and so valuably your long experience and what you are doing and you have been doing. Yes, we have never to surround and all the way around. I think this is a key moment and the opportunities are there, but it's so important to create spaces where youth, professionals, people, because finally everyone has a good will. Sometimes it's the unconsciousness, the lack of real connection. I see every day at Hecho por Nosotros when professionals link with people as Marcos, with that dignity, humility, that eager in order to maintain alive their culture, their community, to give welfare not just for them but for all the world, how they extend through these artisanal products, these pieces that are really the only luxury that we have nowadays. So to see how redirect all the tools that we have in hands in order that communities can integrate their youth, their children, jointly with the oldest, and together recreate the local economies, give birth to flourishing spaces that can also can be so wonderful for all that we are concentrated in these big cities that are overload of a lot of things are not so interesting as they were, no? So these opportunities should be needed and fertilized. And I see every day more and more people around the world are looking for these experiences. Also, maybe if AI give some space in a good way, we will have more time for handcraft, for use our creativity. And indigenous people could be the big masters, the big teachers, the professors. How we integrate tools in their hands to decide by themselves, to create these bridges and transit with the world all together and inspire us every day. So, well, I think, Agustina, I don't know if you...
Yeah, she's back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Agustina, you can continue your... Are you there?
Yes, thank you, Adriana. Thank you, Martina. Sorry, these things happen. I just had a power blackout, so we're back here. I'm with my data. So I'm going to take from where I left it. I believe it cut out when I was mentioning I worked with a European philanthropic recently to map several organizations in Latin America that are using AI for cultural preservation in a general manner. So what I found from that actually was confirming the tension we were discussing in this panel, because I found a huge amount of scattered experimentation from language documentation projects, digital archives, or traditional knowledge tools for artisans. We had even several chatbots that were adapting news into local languages and dialects. So there was a lot of experimentation, a lot of projects, but there was a little connection between them, and almost no shared governance standards for how we were treating that data, what kind of infrastructure are we going to use, what kind of systems are we going to prefer, or all that interoperability, or maybe general agreement of knowledges. Each initiative answer its own questions, like who owns the digitalized data, who can retrain the model on it, what happens if the organization that collected the data disappears, who's going to carry that work out. And all that mapping convinced that the region doesn't have an innovation problem. It had like a shared framework problem that keeps innovation from being extractive. So here from Asuntos del Sur, we had a public innovation program. We were working with a lot of local governments across Latin America, and we developed a set of standards for evaluating this co-creation and collective intelligence spaces that I think might apply directly here, and it stands on 5 criteria. So processes should be open. Anyone who wants to participate can. There shouldn't be any barrier linking this kind of processes. The second standard is the process should be inclusive and diverse. It applies also for technology, for AI, and for thinking different ways of building technology. We need to have active outreach to artisans, to indigenous communities, not just those who are already with connectivity and already have technical capacity to build this kind of technology. The third standard is safety. We need clear protocols. We need to protect both data and people, because in some discussions we are focusing on data. We forget that there's a lot of people being affected by technology and its rights and its knowledges. And when we think about artisanal indigenous lectures, we have even maybe safer standards for that. We need to be aggregative. This means that individual knowledge actually translate into real collective products, not just a platform that is going to extract the data without giving anything back. So we should be thinking of AI in a way that actually serves community, adds value for that community. And the standard is binding, because we think that community contributions must translate into concrete decisions and benefits, not just having decorative consultations, which is something that we see a lot in co-creation processes. So when we think about how to apply these standards to AI and to traditional knowledge, this is exactly what was discussed, what we'll be discussing today's lab. How we get consent, how we're going to build traceability, how can we build collectively this shared benefit, because this shared benefit should be like the starting point. So the warning I want to bring here from South America, from Global South, is that if we don't put governance standards in place before scaling this kind of solution, the most likely outcome is not cultural preservation. It's going to be the exact opposite. We will be legitimatizing digital extraction platforms and processes. So in this way, when we think about how ancestral knowledge can be turned into training data without consent, without traceability, without any return to the community of origin, it won't be something that's going to be desirable or wanted. So my concrete proposal for today's lab is that any AI governance framework for artisanal communities should include at least 4 elements: open access, explicit consent, traceability of use once knowledge is digitalized, and a mechanism to return value to the communities, not only to the platform that's being led. So I think that we can learn a lot from fragmentation we found in our own mapping in Latin America. Trying to connect all those initiatives already is a way to start building from something and not from scratch, because as I was saying, we have a lot of innovation happening in a region. We just need a way to make everything come together. So thank you very much. Really, once again, really sorry for technical issues.
Not. Thank you, Agustina, and so important all your insights and how can we really be all together in order to feed all this basement as soon as possible, because things go so quickly in another direction. And something also that worries me is how can we share tools that are so valuable for them, and they can with them be much more power, yes, by themselves. Because also what worries me a little bit is to be talking about others and to be caring while the gap is widening all the time, yes. Really, communities need access to specific tools that may allow them to reconvert their business, to traduce, to have this repository. And also now, if we talk about the fashion industry, we have to talk the traceability, transparency, and the greenwashing machine that continue to grow and grow over certifications that, of course, is leaving totally aside the communities that they are not practicing good practices. They already have. We have to learn from them what is sustainability, what is circularity, what means good practice. And of course, all these standards and all these regulations are not are not bringing the tools to the grassroots in order to be auto-represent, to integrate themselves into the value chain correctly. So many opportunities, and the name of this space is Hecho por Nosotros, made by us. Every action should be made by us collectively, together, and joining all without thinking from where we are, what we represent, but embracing this main core challenge. So thank you so much for this great conversation that now we will deep into the break rooms. Hecho por Nosotros has so many areas of co-creating knowledge, tools, and these break rooms are representations of some of the areas we are holding. So, Martina, I don't know how we will do this next stage. That is never easy.
No problem. The only thing is Erica is available to speak representing Licenciado Jorge Luis Nava Guevara.
Okay.
If we want, we can give her the floor now while I start creating the room so everyone can just check which lab they will be going to. So, Erika, if you are there.
Sí, muchas gracias, muy buenos días. Es un honor participar en este importante espacio para reconocer el valioso trabajo que Animaná y Hecho por Nosotros se han realizado en favor de las comunidades artesanas de México. En nombre de la Secretaría de Turismo de México, Josefina Rodríguez Zamora, expresamos nuestro más profundo reconocimiento y agradecimiento por su compromiso, profesionalismo y visión para impulsar iniciativas que fortalecen el desarrollo sostenible, la economía creativa y la preservación del patrimonio cultural. Su labor ha demostrado que la colaboración entre gobiernos, organizaciones de la sociedad civil y comunidades puede generar resultados concretos que pueden fortalecer las capacidades, preservar los conocimientos ancestrales y creando nuevas oportunidades para quienes mantienen vivo nuestro patrimonio. En México, el turismo y la artesanía están profundamente vinculados. Cada pieza artesanal representa historia, identidad y el legado de generaciones que han transmitido sus saberes de manera ininterrumpida. Por ello, fortalecer a las personas artesanas significa también fortalecer la experiencia turística, impulsar el desarrollo local y contribuir a que los beneficios del turismo lleguen directamente a las comunidades. Gracias al compromiso y a su experiencia y al trabajo conjunto con Animaná y Hecho por Nosotros, fue posible desarrollar un programa que fortaleció las capacidades de artesanas y artesanos de los estados de Chiapas y Quintana Roo. Más que conocimientos técnicos, este proceso fortaleció su capacidad para comunicar el valor de sus creaciones, proyectar el trabajo hacia sus nuevos espacios y preservar al mismo tiempo la autenticidad y la riqueza cultural que distingue a sus comunidades. Por ello, reiteramos nuestro agradecimiento por haber sido un aliado estratégico para México. Su compromiso demuestra que cuando sumamos esfuerzos, es posible transformar el conocimiento en oportunidades, preservar nuestro patrimonio y construir un turismo que genere bienestar para las comunidades. Muchas gracias.
Muchísimas gracias, Erika, y gracias a ustedes. Absolutamente es un ida y vuelta total, la oportunidad de poder llegar en forma más ordenada a muchos miembros de la comunidad y a un seguimiento. Fue una experiencia sumamente rica que esperamos seguir profundizando y bueno, un honor tenerte aquí. Gracias, Erika.
Gracias.
Ok. This, well, I think you could traduce, but Erika, we work together with some of the communities of Mexico doing some co-creation, and this shows the importance of collaboration, but at the ultimate stage, that is co-creating together and going beyond bureaucracy and so many things and going directly to join opportunities and challenges to co-create solutions. So was an excellent experience. Thank you. Okay, let's go to the labs. So everybody has to put the lab. Todos tienen que poner el lab en el nombre. Yo no veo el lab de nadie.
Yeah, and for the people who already have the names, I'm already adding all of you. So just a general idea, I will open the breakout rooms in a minute and you will be the people who have already the name with lab 1, lab 2, they will have cartel, Jesus. They will have a pop-up where they will say like, this person is inviting you to join this lab, and you will be redirected directly. For all the others, please start putting your names so you can go ahead, or you can also do it manually on the bottom of the Zoom. You will see in a minute something that says breakout rooms or salas para grupos pequeños, and there you can choose all of them. So now all the rooms are open, and so you should have it already to appear and go there, except, so yeah, people are already going there. And so also we will be doing the lab 0 here. So if you are interested in hearing more insights from Adriana, Radhika, Robertson, Luigi, and Agustina, you can say here, and we will continue the conversation here.
So Trish, would you like to begin the conversation?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think what we're going to talk about is how AI can strengthen the creative economies in the global south in ways that preserve cultural heritage, how it expands economic opportunity, ensures innovation, and where it's really equitable rather than extractive. And we'll discuss what policy, partnerships, or governance mechanisms are needed to achieve this by, maybe 2030, 2040, 2050. So I think we want to start off with some main talking points. first of all, maybe talk about artisanal intelligence to AI. How can traditional knowledge, craftsmanship, and cultural practices inform AI development rather than simply become data to extract? And what does it mean to recognize artisans, creators, and indigenous communities as innovators, not just as providers? So that's just the question about how the interaction between artisans and creators comes about, basically. What are we putting down as those foundations? And we've got plenty of people here who can discuss that. Radhika, for instance, where I'm sure you have some things to say about that, as does Adriana. So either of you want to talk about that?
Adriana, did you want to start or you wanted me to speak first?
You can go.
Yeah,
I'm a little bit trying to see who else can. I have to help. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, what an inspiring conversation and such diverse and rich perspectives. I think to the question you raised, Tricia, it's, I think, taking from everything I heard today, and especially what Adriana summarized, is that balance to answer this question of how do we, if we have too much regulation, that can stifle innovation. And yet, how do we have that balance where the artisanal grassroots are at the center, they are co-creators, they have agency, to build the systems, especially with Gen AI, I think that is very doable. That, and with a little bit of training, that they are the best people to know what they need and how to conserve the heritage, and giving that charge to them to build this, I think, is a solution. And yet there is a challenge, as Luigi and others raised about the, and I think one of the other speakers as well, that how is the data protected? How do we make sure that it's not exploitative? And that is not something they themselves can solve. And that is where I think one is going to need the right AI design as well, the foundational models, right? That happens at the foundational model level, who's building the AI infrastructure. Regulation is, of course, a piece, but I think the other piece is bringing some of that, the sovereign AI models, and having in country, even in regional, smaller maybe models, small language models that are more controlled by perhaps even state governments. And they don't have to be these huge AI systems, but they're designed from the beginning. The learning sets are built with input from the indigenous grassroots communities. So could be an AI that understands and is sympathetic in a way to the culture and the priorities and the values of the community that uses it. It could be powered perhaps by local power, the point that was raised earlier, that AI is a huge consumer of water energy. So perhaps the smaller models could take less energy. And I think that's something not looked at enough, that can we develop entirely kind of locally contained hardware, software, AI models, smaller ones, but for the culture and for understanding the indigenous languages. That is the other piece. A lot of current models cannot really understand and really represent the indigenous languages, not enough data sets. Can we get the communities to feed in the data set, but also the language? And this is where my mind was going on the proto-language of groups, is because it takes a lot of data for AI to understand a language, about a language. So if one can discover commonalities and feed that, perhaps we could have an AI more customized and more understanding the context and culture of indigenous communities better, and doing a better job in their hands to generate the solutions they need. And of course, this has to go hand in hand with regulation, policy for data protection, especially of the indigenous communities. And still, this doesn't solve the extractive problem with industry. That is something else to be thought through.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with everything that you've said. It speaks to some of the work you were doing, Luigi, as well, actually. What you were talking about. But I wonder if you, I know Adriana is busy, Luigi, if you have anything to say around, traditional knowledge, how can we ensure artisans and creative entrepreneurs receive their attribution and economic benefits from AI, and they're not just, used to kind of process data? Do you have any thoughts on that?
It's a very big topic.
Yeah, too big, but in the context of your work as a social enterprise and working across.
So there are systemic issues and potentially systemic solution. So something that, at least for me, looked promising at the beginning, which were blockchains, NFTs. They can provide some sort of technological solution to attribution, to value. So you can link the usage of something to a payment that goes to its author, and kind of permanently embed this mechanism into the creation. And actually, something that I always wanted to do but never did was to link NFTs with crafts more than arts.
Yeah.
But at the same time, of course, as we know, the NFTs then they kind of got a bad reputation. Also because of those who were playing the game. So I think there is also a matter of being very careful which side you're in, and whose people you kind of end up working with. So I think there's this macro level, which probably is even, I would say, beyond what I can contribute. At my own level, I think it's a matter of. I think there is also for me still unresolved question, which is very hard to resolve, which is the limit between appropriation and kind of knowledge that accumulates and generate new knowledge. I think there have been excesses of both, if I may. So there have been clearly some extractive practices of particularly that disfavored indigenous communities. So having their basically even their designs to be used for commercial products, with the meanings completely negated and then exploited. But at the same time, I think there's been also a rhetorical excess on the other side about being careful in taking something that belongs to another culture in a way, because at the end, this is how culture is generated and this is how we evolve as a society. I think there are, but it's at the end. I think it's positive that certain. I think it's a very interesting this area because there is no black and white. It's still a contested territory. It's still evolving, and you can see it at the micro level of the projects that we do to the more macro level. But I'm so happy to be engaged with you today, and it's very good. It's very good to hear people from the corners of the world kind of having to deal with similar challenges and coming together to kind of make sense of what we have experienced as a humanity.
Great. Adriana, are you back?
No, yeah, I think that this it's I see the system goes so quickly and grows so quickly, and the ones that are like embracing solutions and embracing good practices, and finally, we are so spread finally and divided. Yes, we do not go for a real co-creation and collaboration at the stage that the situation and what we are aiming to solve needs. That it is nothing else that our life, the future of our life, because artisanal work, when we let's say play or talk about artisanal intelligence, is this culture that was constructed for so many thousands of years, no? And finally, let's say the appropriation of it's everywhere. So if we put too much focus on something that is already happening and has been happening for so long. I think for me, the most important is how we bring the tools in order that the community can evolve by themselves and can decide and can recreate their business model, and they can recreate, resignify their culture. How we bring these tools to the youth in order to not leave their enormous potentiality, treasure, opportunities that they have, and flourish locally, yes, sharing products, languages, stories there and worldwide. And when we began to discuss, for example, we have been with an Ashoka team of academics working on the regulation. The dialogue is so difficult. The academia, when we'll arrive to an answer, I don't know, we will be all automatized, yes, and also when we say artificial intelligence will go for the rights, and aren't you worried about your own rights? Yes, are we protected for the use of the phone, WhatsApp, different technology? Of course not. Yes. So, well, for me, we should put the focus. We should put a framework quickly, a framework that give guarantees, but guarantees for all of us, not just for the indigenous people, and bring the tools locally in order that we may preserve all this wisdom, this culture that is so key, so important. They live for thousands of years correctly with good health, maintaining alive all the species and creating local cultures, etc. And we destroy everything in I don't know, 200 years, 100 years, and the speed that everything is happening is so high. When we talk about the fashion industry, yes, we really have to go out from this industry, but this is also an issue of how we can reeducate ourselves, how we see how we are slaves or slave, and we are allowing our children, our own children, to be like slaves of this industry, while they are damaging their brain, their body, their health, their daily life, captured by an industry that is destroying our world. And we are not talking about something minimum. We are talking about the biggest, the richest people of the world are in this industry. What is behind this industry? So we really need a creative economy alive, with rules, with opportunities, and that allow our system to be regenerate and allow the youth to navigate new ways of producing, consuming, and living.
Yeah, we've talked about this a lot, haven't we? But I think I just wanted to, linking with that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about, you talked about how tools could be need to be brought to localized communities. This could be a really great economic opportunity for them as well. So I think what I wanted to discuss a little bit was how AI can help creative entrepreneurs in the global south reach new markets and reduce barriers and production and access financing to do all of this. I mean, how do we do all of that? How do we bring the AI tools to them? And again, what's the economic opportunity there? Does anybody want to maybe talk about that?
I can go unless someone else who hasn't spoken wants to. Okay. So I first wanted to react to what Adriana said, which is also linked to this point of economic opportunity, Shasha. I think there is the possibility with all its challenges, dangers, and I live in fear of what AI will do to my rights. Adriana, you raise a good point. I also am with you that it is also going to be able to create tremendous opportunities if we do it right. And one thought as I was listening to you on the fashion industry is perhaps one can reimagine the fashion industry, the values that the youth kind of care about. What is it? After all, it's about followers and influencers, the fashion industry. Can one leverage AI and get some of the indigenous youth who are deeply kind of embedded in these artisan communities to be the new influencers? With AI, one can get attention, visibility at low cost if like there is something they're doing that's amazing, possibly. And that might be something to look at, that can we shift and reimagine what is valued in the fashion industry, not just for the indigenous, but to Adriana's point again, for the whole world, to do much more good and bring in the indigenous and grassroots front and center again. The other thought is in terms of economic value, I do think there is many opportunities, again, if leveraged right with AI, because it can offer a lot more transparency and information on the supply chain. And this can help. Right now, a lot of middlemen take a lot of the profits, right, in the supply chains, global supply chains. With AI, perhaps with more information at the fingertips of the grassroots, there could be better opportunities for them to negotiate better deals if they're not just linked to one middleman. There could be opportunities for kind of a AI perhaps agent representing them to do a good job that is trained by them on representing them in a different language. Say if the end kind of consumer speaks a different language, different culture, maybe AI could be used for them to directly engage with them in their language and their culture. But also many other kind of forecasting, analyzing risks in the supply chain and informing the manufacturer, the artisan ahead of time about that, whether it's in raw materials they use, weather conditions, if that impacts their art or something else. So I do think that if what I'm thinking is that there is a tremendous possibility, I think, Adriana, because your organization is so well situated, connected with so many different artisans and grassroots across the continent and now Africa and Asia, perhaps to almost create a council, ongoing council that kind of takes the work from such events forward with indigenous youth in it, grassroots policymakers from different regions of South America, perhaps even Africa and Asia, to think of some of these problems and start thinking of, and of course, some AI designers, and how to take on this problem. Big systems changes needed, both the fashion industry values and influencers, but also how to leverage technology and what are the different pieces that need to be done. It's an ambitious moonshot project, but who better than Hecho por Nosotros to do this? The suggestion I wanted to put on the table, inviting some of the speakers to join.
Yeah, I love that. The whole idea of a youth council that brings people. I mean, that's the future. I mean, as an educator, just talking to the younger people and how passionate they are about, making things better. And even when you talk about technology and AI, they have, they love it, but they also are cautious as well, in the same way that our generation is as well. They want to think about how it can be used. I teach designers, they worry about intellectual property, they worry about if they're going to be relevant, So I feel like that would be something going forward that would be really amazing to put together, a youth council with, the spirit of collaboration that we have at Hecho por Nosotros, for them to sort of discuss that and have some initiatives that help them understand, because I feel like the core of everything is education. A lot of it is misinformation that goes around. I don't know enough, and I feel many people don't. So putting that at the forefront would be something that I feel that, we can do at Hecho por Nosotros, but on a wider scale in collaboration with some other partners, bringing youth together would be a really amazing idea. Anybody else want to comment on that, on economic opportunity?
Luigi, you can talk directly.
I would like to make a small point, because I think the infrastructure matters in a way a lot. So one conversation is about how to support artisans or local communities to use AI, but it's also how this AI is designed, of course. And there are some interesting cases. So I ended up talking with a friend of mine who's a Brazilian artist who directed me to the work of an academic. I think he works in Canada, Jason Edward Lewis, who coordinated a group called Indigenous AI. So it was a group of experts that worked on how to make AI from scratch, taking into account from the beginning all the ethical concerns, because at the end that's what we are talking about. It's about law and ethics. So I think they are very good examples. So I think there are so many levels we need to work across. I think the tools, the commercially available tools, I don't know. I wouldn't trust them. because at the end, yes, they might give a little help to the people we care about, but that helps last as long as there is a profit for this company. So the day they want to change direction, everything will fall down. So I think there is so I think in a way how, I don't know, the many flaws with democracies, but at the end, democracy are a fairly recent product that is not working too badly. And constitutions were written from scratch by people who wanted a new political way of living together, of communities, most of the time. And I think this needs to be the case with the tools of AI. We cannot take tools developed by people who had very opposite interests and hoping that they work for us. So I think this is something that should always be kind of kept in mind during these conversations.
That's a really good point that you've made there. Yeah, I feel what you're saying is completely true. I mean, they have a lot to gain and not necessarily have artisans and designers at the forefront of their thinking. And for me, again, as a designer and as an educator, if there was something that was made from scratch, but it's kind of what Adriana's always been talking about, systems change, because the way the system is set up, artisans and designers are always not going to be, at the top. They're always going to be like secondary, they're not the primary way of they're thinking about making money and making profits. So I think for us, what you're saying is how do we get that system maybe making our own, and then how do we do that? Who do we bring to help us do that? Something that we have discussed a lot of as well. And another thing I wanted to sort of think about, and this is all interlinked, but the risks of, they talk about digital colonization. What are the biggest risks if AI development continues to be concentrated in a few countries and companies, which is what you kind of touched on. So, how can they maintain their sovereignty? How can they get that infrastructure in their own countries and in their own communities? I mean, I don't know how that could be done. Perhaps, Adriana, you can sort of speak to that, or Radhika.
I can talk to that a bit. And I also wanted to react to what Luigi was saying. I would agree with him that, yes, I think it is critical to empower the youth, bring them front and center. But if the design problems are not solved, the biases that creep in, whether intentional motives or even subconscious, can be major challenges. And this is where I think the local models, whether it be at a national level or indigenous communities, is critical. And it is linked to the point you raised, Tricia. And so I think in this moment, I think it's critical to look at how to do this, but it's not easy for, say, a group to just suddenly build foundational models. Right? So where do you begin? And I think there is a history here with open source in digital innovation. there have been in open source projects that have turned into even better products because it is the power of the community, better products than existing commercial products in other parts of technology. I think that is starting to happen a little bit in AI already, with even some foundational models and such, but that is where perhaps effort could be put. And if there is enough open source basic blocks, then perhaps communities, local governments can build their own kind of with their priorities, their values, infrastructure, AI foundational models, and small ones. We don't need to do everything with a giant model that understands every language, right? Just local as needed. But I think it also comes to the ethics is very important, right? There's the laws and regulations, but the ethics that have come up. Here I am joining from the heart of Silicon Valley, from the world of all the big AI developers. And here too, there is different discussions. And some people are talking about some organizations, big AI developers are reaching out to brilliant social entrepreneurs to understand how can we bring a soul to AI. I am an optimist and I believe everywhere there are people who want to do good also, but they don't know how sometimes. And so that concept has really stayed with me. And now listening to Luigi about the indigenous AI, perhaps it could be an interesting project that how do we bring the indigenous soul to AI, linking the points you made, Adriana, like there's thousands of years of rich cultural heritage. In addition to what we have a modern ethics and values, respecting the dignity of all, respecting nature. At a deeper level, are there ethical models and ethical values deeply linked to nature that indigenous communities have that we can pull out with them having a seat at the table and feed into the soul of the AI that the world will use, and perhaps via open source projects or even catalyzing open source projects with young people. Maybe that's one of the things the Youth Council can do. The digital natives, it's amazing to see what young people have been able to do with technology that big, well-funded companies can't, right? So if there's a council of digital native changemaker youth with several from indigenous and grassroots and others, maybe this is a challenge, maybe do a competition and throw it at them that what is that model that has the indigenous soul in our AI, and how do we build a small foundational model?
Yeah, I think this is a key point, but also of this space to exercise how can we go together and embrace the challenge as ours. It is not the challenge of others. It's not that we are helping no one but ourselves and evolving each of us and commit and transforming all the tools, all the richness of this system into something that will create spaces that are unique and that fertilize the environment, the people, the culture, ourselves. So we have to see how to navigate that spaces, and then all the tools are there, the capacities and the creativity. So we are all here. So Lab 2, Alejandro Chamorro. Some of them will be in Spanish, algunos van a ser en español y otros en inglés.
Bueno, hola.
Hola.
¿Escuchan? Bueno, pues siento apropiado hablar en español porque nuestro laboratorio fue en español. Entonces quería así concluir como algunos de los puntos. Bueno, nuestro laboratorio fue el de Capacity Building, capacidades para el futuro, construyendo habilidades inclusiva y sostenible. Discutimos varios puntos, iniciando como de algunas brechas en cuanto a capacidades que hay en comunidades respecto a las tecnologías, incluyendo la inteligencia artificial, que pueden ser por muchas causas. Pues también discutimos que la tecnología en general puede ser un poquito excluyente y que a aprender esas nuevas herramientas, no solo como por el hecho de que sea todo nuevo, sino porque en general los artesanos y los artistas expresamos como un poco de miedo respecto a lo que esas tecnologías pueden representar. Em, y en cuanto a los comentarios que recibimos, que siento que fueron puntos muy importantes, se discutió sobre una sinergia entre la inteligencia de las tecnologías, la inteligencia de la naturaleza, la inteligencia de las comunidades, no solo sea como un aspecto que viene para quitarnos, o que solo como que sea como una base de datos donde se acumulan cosas, sino que realmente sean herramientas que les sirvan a las comunidades. También se discutió la importancia de las juventudes en todo este momento. Pues yo siento de que en general se ve bastante, pues lo discutimos en el taller y yo pues por experiencia lo he vivido acá mucho en Colombia, que en las comunidades ancestrales, las personas mayores son las que saben como todas estas tradiciones artesanales, mientras los jóvenes que ya saben utilizar los teléfonos como que pierden absolutamente todo el interés. Entonces, pues en ese aspecto las juventudes son como un punto clave de alianza entre las tradiciones y como todas estas nuevas tecnologías. Entonces, en cuanto a capacity, pues encontrar herramientas que sirvan para cerrar esa brecha de capacidades y de conocimiento para acercarnos a las herramientas, a las tecnologías, para que sean de utilidad verdaderamente. Y pues sí, era eso por nuestro laboratorio.
Muchas gracias, Alejandro. Resumiste todo el evento y todas las challenges que tenemos. Ah,
Listo.
Ada, creo que estás en el lab 1. You can speak English, so
Yes,
welcome.
my lab was in English, so I will keep it in English. I was in lab one. The title was When AI Supports a Craft, Transforming Technical Knowledge into Accessible Tools for Artisan Communities. And in our lab, we explored how artificial intelligence can support, not replace, artisan knowledge by making sustainability information more accessible. We presented a practical case study developed by Hecho por Nosotros, Circular Economy team. And our project began with a supply chain guide designed for SMEs in the first place, and which we first adapted into an AI-generated educational video for artisans. However, we soon realized that accessibility is not only about changing the format, it's about understanding the people we are designing for. And through some interviews with artisan communities in Argentina and also Mexico, we identified the cultural, social, and communication barriers that limit access to technical sustainability knowledge. And these insights show that AI is most effective when it is combined with research and local perspectives. So our main takeaway is that meaningful innovation starts by listening, and AI can become a powerful bridge to democratize sustainability knowledge, but only when it is used ethically and with people at the center. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ada. Desislava, are you there?
Okay, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I can't see myself, but I'm sure I'm there. I exist. Okay, here. So thank you for having us this wonderful discussion, and it's great to see that everyone is aligning and we are actually repeating each other and repeating the same thing with different words and different languages. So I'm gonna cut it short because I see that we've been actually discussing over and over the same topics, and it's getting a bit tiring. I know because it's been years and years people are talking about the same things and moving in the same direction. So our lab, taking on a quote from Audre Lorde, which I flipped around. So the master's house will never be dismantled by the master's tools. And we discussed, of course, the only possible scenario when we become the masters, and then the house is ours. And we decide who's going to take a seat or a place on our table and who will be part of our community, and how we share the knowledge. Also, we discussed various misunderstandings when we are working outside of a community and we don't know the needs from the inside. There is always the risk of patronizing and tokenization, and we quite often assume that the craft and indigenous communities really need the tools to share their knowledge with us, but actually we need them much more than they do. So in this discussion, which was not finished, also Maya participated, Maya Ninova. She's an anthropologist and a social researcher, also very interested in the intersection of communities and technologies. 30 minutes, it's not enough. A lifetime is not enough. So Maya, maybe you can add something to the talk.
Yeah, I feel that we didn't have time to actually get into the topic because our lab was about aspects of the adoption of technology that are more complex and need more time to research, like ethics, user-centered design, and so on, right? So I really feel that we needed more time to discuss, but definitely the tool you're developing is amazing. And it's a nice example of how technology, right now, AI technology should be actually adopted, right? With the put in the center the users. But of course, I feel that we needed more time to actually.
We can find it, Maya, to continue.
Of course, I'm happy to help. I'm happy to help, but yeah, we would like dealing with a complex topic, like ethical principles and so on, and actually raising awareness, education, which are very important topics and very neglected, by the way. And I think the NGO sector is the only one that could do something about it right now. And I'm going to stop here because
Thank you, Maya.
can
Thank you,
continue.
Maya. But I just
Sorry.
want to say that me and Maya did a little web page to collect and connect after the presentation because people were in different groups. So I would like to share it with everyone if they want, and then they can interact and answer questions and connect. Because even though we are part of the same network, I don't have enough faces. I don't see enough people. I don't have enough voices. And I appeal to all of you to be more active in not writing emails, but rather communicating as human beings, and let's take some action. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Desislava and Maya. Now we have Ray Espinosa.
Hola, la conclusión la va a hacer Alejandra, sí.
Bueno, hola, Ale.
Hola, sí, bueno, nuestro lab fue el lab de leyendas, en donde tuvimos de invitados a Guillermina, a Elizabeth, a Rey, a Otto. Tres de ellos son parte del grupo de leyendas, una de ellas fue una invitada. Y básicamente nosotros nos centramos en la leyenda del Coquena, ¿no? Que es una leyenda de las comunidades del NOA. Y nuestro lab se organizó, por así decirlo, en dos momentos que se complementaron bastante bien, ¿no? En primer lugar, a cargo de Guillermina, que nos ofreció un recorrido académico, ¿no? Sobre el coquena, que es esta entidad cosmológica que en la tradición andina regula la relación entre los seres humanos, la fauna silvestre y el territorio, ¿no? Se mostró como una figura considerada en un inicio un mito tardío, por así decirlo, ¿no? Y hoy se lee más como un diálogo con el registro arqueológico de la domesticación de los camélidos, ¿no? Que documenta miles de años de manejo sostenido, ¿no? Se introdujo el concepto de wiwa, sí, que entiende la domesticación no como una relación de sometimiento, sino más bien como un proceso de cuidado recíproco, ¿no? Entre las comunidades y los animales. Igualmente se revisaron algunos marcos de convenios que existen actualmente, que junto con el chacu, que es esta práctica ancestral que desquila de las vicuñas, que permite aprovechar la fibra sin hacer daño al animal, sin sacrificarlo finalmente. Y lo revelador de este recorrido, que además fue tenía muchísimo material, muchas gracias Guillermina por todo lo que trajiste, porque además fue de alguna u otra manera revelador al darnos cuenta de que todos estos convenios, todas estas marcos internacionales de conservación, no han hecho nada más que formalizar principios que ya existían mucho antes en los saberes ancestrales, ¿no? Un segundo momento que tuvimos fue el material que se presentó, que el video que pudimos ver todos aquí en la sala principal, elaborado por Otto, Elizabeth y Rey, que nos llevó al territorio, ¿no? El norte de Salta, otros espacios que nos muestran a los pastores, las esquilas, el telar, ¿no? Y todos estos símbolos, memorias y formas de comprender el mundo que se ven, ¿no? Que se observan y que muchas veces pasan desapercibidos dentro de todas estas discusiones, estos marcos que terminan siendo muy, muy importantes para el diálogo y que no les restamos importancia de ninguna manera, sino que muchas veces y lo que nos alimenta y lo que nos da quizás estos caminos para responder esas grandes preguntas que plantean estos espacios es estar ahí, ¿no? Viendo a la gente, conversando con ellos, observando, ¿no? Saliendo un poco de estos espacios que quizás a veces nos reducen a categorías y que finalmente no nos permiten estar en esta experiencia. Y eso fue el segundo momento, ¿no? El poder ver este video y finalmente, una pregunta que nos trajeron, que no terminamos de abordar, pero que considero que podría ser una pregunta, un camino a esta gran pregunta que nos hacemos en el día de hoy, ¿no? Si el telar enseña a entrelazar hilos para crear una identidad, ¿qué hilos deberíamos entrelazar hoy entre la inteligencia humana, la inteligencia artesanal y la inteligencia artificial para tejer el futuro que queremos, ¿no? Y es justamente en eso, ¿no? En el poder escuchar, en el poder observar, en el poder estar ahí, es un gran primer paso, ¿no? Es en esos espacios en donde realmente, en esta sensibilidad, en el poder estar con las personas que han transmitido este conocimiento de generación en generación, en estas personas que utilizan sus manos para crear, en esas personas que también tienen como toda una idea que una serie de conocimientos que realmente a veces no son tan lejanos que podemos ir estableciendo estos caminos, ¿no? Hacia un futuro.
Gracias Ale por... well, I will switch in English, but that the space of systemic change of education, where we take legends, local culture, together we embrace and recreate it so beautifully. Invite all to be part of the team. It is so inspiring. Thank you, Ale. And thank you, Otto, and all the team that Elizabeth as well. Ray, thank you. Now we have Nancy Ramos. Hello.
Hello, Adriana. Desde Paraguay. Bueno, a mí me tocó el grupo el Lab 9. Nuestro tema era territorios regenerativos, alianzas público-privadas para la economía. Y bueno, estuvimos conversando ahí de las distintas experiencias de nuestras organizaciones en Salta, de la experiencia con estudiantes y también yo les compartía un poco la experiencia que tenemos desde la Fundación Paraguaya, que es una organización que tiene más de 40 años en Paraguay. Y bueno, y tratar de responder un poco a la pregunta de cómo la inteligencia artificial puede amplificar en lugar de reemplazar el conocimiento ancestral y la creatividad que han sostenido a las comunidades durante generaciones. Y yo creo que la respuesta, y así como lo hemos conversado, es cómo podemos estar mucho más conectados con ellos, ¿verdad? Y yo creo que la tecnología hoy en día nos permite estar conectados con las personas, utilizar la información que ellos nos proveen, poder anticiparnos. La tecnología y más la inteligencia artificial hoy nos da un montón de facilidades para procesar toda esa información, entender lo que los contextos necesitan y responder a las necesidades de esos contextos. Yo les decía que durante mucho tiempo hemos venido trabajando con muchas familias a través de otras personas, pero esto hoy día es limitado. ¿Por qué no utilizar toda la tecnología que hoy está disponible a disposición de la mayoría de nosotros para proveer mayor información, para facilitar y accionar una mejor calidad de vida de las poblaciones, utilizando los conocimientos de los contextos?
Genial. Gracias, Nancy. Un honor estar trabajando y vamos a hacer cosas increíbles juntas. Muchísimas gracias.
Adri, can I conclude on lab 3?
Yes.
Yeah.
Olga, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, hello. So for Lab 3, we had quite an interesting discussion about creation or co-designing of framework for integration of digital technology to local communities. And we had many guests. We started with introduction of the project, which we are leading now for successful introduction of artificial intelligence into local community for their safety, for protection of their cultural knowledge, and for their sustainability. And then we had several people speaking from our team about local community integration. And also we have a guest, Lisa Pizzoni. She spoke about practices and Maori practices. And then we had follow-up discussion connected with how in different communities this integration, this communication works well, what are the best practices for local community engagement to be co-creative and to integrate artificial intelligence better, and what are the best ethical concerns and what are the best communication practices in different local communities. So yeah, overall this was a very interactive and very practice-based lab. Thank you.
Thank you, Olga, for all the work you are doing at Hecho por Nosotros. Valentina? Hello.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, our lab was in Spanish, but I will say it in English so everyone can follow. Our conclusion from the Fashion Skills for Better lab, based on the insights shared by our speakers, Francesca Dom and Sebastian Pin-Silver, and the discussions in today's main session, is that technology does not replace the ancestral knowledge and creativity that have sustained communities for generations. It amplifies them when it is placed at the service of those who already hold that knowledge. And for Fashion Skills for Better, this means strengthening vocational education and training centers and their trainers so they can decide how and when these tools are integrated into their classrooms and workshops on their own terms and grounded in their local context. And it also means ensuring that knowledge, innovation, and decision making are not concentrated in traditional centers of powers, but that the peripheral communities and territories actively participate in shaping these kind of transformations. So this is made possible through a genuine model of collaboration between Europe and Latin America, bringing together the technical expertise of both regions to ensure that innovations is both meaningfully and locally relevant. So using this technology in this way also means using it as a driver of sustainable development and accelerating progress towards the 2030 agenda.
Thank you, Valentina. Thank you, Francesca, for being here and such key point to be reeducating the professionals of the fashion industry, to help them to have the tools to integrate together, to have this important dialogue among local practices, among the market. And so I am so happy and enthusiastic about this project, that a lot of tools were funded in the toolkit of Hecho por Nosotros, that Trish Langman was a main actor as well. Now, Radhika Macheti, talking something so important.
Yeah, thank you, Adriana. So, hello everyone. Our lab explored how equitable innovation can emerge when technology is designed to empower people rather than replace them. Today, we had a highly interactive audience, and the discussion focused on the role of blockchain and digital product passports across supply chains. We explored the practical applications in building more sustainable, ethical, transparent, and resilient value chains with particular emphasis on the both upstream and downstream supply chain activities. The audience showed great enthusiasm in learning more about digital product passports. Throughout our discussion, one message remained very clear. The future of sustainable development is not about choosing between tradition and technology, it is about bringing them together responsibly. Artificial intelligence should never replace the wisdom, creativity, and lived experience that indigenous people and artisanal communities have cultivated over generations. Instead, it should serve as a respectful enabler. When developed ethically and inclusively, AI can help preserve endangered languages, document traditional craftsmanship, improve market access, strengthen transparent value chains, and protect cultural heritage from misuse. Combined with technologies such as blockchain and digital product passports, AI can authenticate provenance, recognize the value of artisans' work, and ensure that cultural knowledge is acknowledged, protected, and fairly rewarded. However, technology is alone is not the solution. Communities must remain the custodians of their knowledge with meaningful participation in how AI systems are designed, governed, and developed. Human creativity, cultural identity, and traditional knowledge are not data sets to be extracted, they're living legacies to be respected. Let this be our collective commitment. We must build AI that learns with communities. It must empower people, not replace them, and that transforms as ancestral intelligence into a foundation for equitable innovation, sustainable livelihoods, and shared prosperity. In doing so, we move closer to achieving the 2030 agenda while ensuring that cultural heritage remains a source of resilience, dignity, and hope for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Radhika. We have to see how to create this free passport for all artisans around the world. Thank you. Thank you so much for your commitment and work. And finally, we have, sorry, I lost the chat.
We have two left. We
Yeah.
have Diana, Carla
Diana,
Munguía,
yeah, hello.
del Laboratorio 8.
Hola. Sí, 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 justo en el laboratorio de hecho, bueno, déjenme contarles que fue un bello espacio para compartir los hallazgos del equipo de investigación, cuyos han sido incalculables y bueno, se presenta un marco teórico que aborda principalmente cuatro ejes. El primero vinculado a la identidad, la semiótica y la biocultura en el mundo andino, las epistemologías andinas, el textil andino en la moda y finalmente cómo se relaciona también con la sostenibilidad. Esto con el fin de descifrar cómo la semiótica textil, desde sus orígenes ancestrales hasta la actualidad, contribuye a la construcción de la identidad andina. En un segundo momento pasamos a la discusión y bueno, surgieron dos preguntas importantes, ¿no? Que nos realizamos. ¿Cómo podemos innovar desde la inteligencia artificial sin desvincular los textiles andinos de las comunidades, los territorios, los significados culturales que les dan origen? Y también qué transformaciones serían necesarias para integrar estos principios de la semiótica textil en las prácticas actuales de la sostenibilidad sin reducirlos a elementos meramente simbólicos o mercantiles. Entonces, bueno, aquí hay tres puntos que consideramos relevantes. El primero, reimaginar la sostenibilidad, entendiéndola no únicamente desde una perspectiva técnica o productiva, sino también cultural y simbólica. En este sentido, el textil andino constituye un patrimonio vivo que preserva conocimientos, identidades, formas de organización social y de relación entre las comunidades y la naturaleza. En segundo lugar, la inteligencia artificial se fortalece de los saberes ancestrales y no puede sustituirla. Eh, ¿Qué queremos mencionar con esto? Pues es necesaria la creación coordinada de herramientas como la inteligencia artificial, porque pueden contribuir a la preservación, la difusión y la visibilización su aplicación, claro, requiere consentimiento, reconocimiento y participación activa de quienes son portadores de este patrimonio. Y en tercer lugar, la protección del patrimonio cultural exige una reflexión ética sobre su uso y aprovechamiento. Persisten interrogantes sobre quién decide cómo se utilizan los símbolos, los conocimientos y los significados en estas tecnologías emergentes. quién se beneficia de ellos y cómo evitar procesos de apropiación cultural. Pero frente a estas lógicas de producción masiva, la investigación y los espacios de diálogos como estos y el producto de esto, como el que estamos construyendo desde el equipo de investigación, pues contribuye a promover un comercio justo y un factor fundamental, la educación del consumidor. También, sin olvidar que es necesario el reconocimiento al valor de las comunidades de ser visibles a través de estas nuevas tecnologías.
Gracias, Diana, y esperamos ver ese libro, el resultado de este largo trabajo tan apasionante. Y bueno, muchísimas gracias a todo el equipo. Y ahora el 10, Melissa.
Sí. Okay.
Hola.
Hola. Okay, so our breakout room, we discussed a little bit about how young lead community projects strengthen access, inclusion, and impact. So the main takeaway it was that AI is an amplifier, not the source. So ancestral knowledge and community creativity remain being the origin. So we have three main points. First one related to access. It is that AI can document and preserve oral knowledge before it's lost across generations. Also, we talk about inclusion, that AI gives visibility to communities excluded from technical spaces, funding, public policy, without taking away ownership of their narratives. And finally, impact, that AI frees up time from repetitive tasks, giving back space to create, innovate, and pass on knowledge. We as young people, the resource that we lack the most is time. So that's what AI give us back for us. And also we discuss a little bit about how can AI can help pass on knowledge and best practices across communities and generations. And we discuss that it's really important that information has to be accessible to everyone. Also, ancestral knowledge should be documented. It's really important to preserve and share ancestral knowledge, not to replace it. And finally, just to go a little bit fast, is that AI should be a bridge, directly encoding the presentation core thesis, that it should work as a tool or as a bridge between what we already know and what we want to create for the future. We are, as global shapers, we are young people committed to develop projects to have impact in our cities. So we truly believe that AI is a tool that help us to have and expand the impact of our projects. So that's from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Well, so interesting, and thank you so much, all a great family. Again, anything, I always say every collaborator takes part of the thread and continues spinning, and together we weave these beautiful pieces every day. So thank you to all. Let's take a picture.
Yeah, if you
You want
can
to
put
open
your camera on. Oh, thank you, everyone. I think we are ready. Taking it now. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. There.
Okay.
It
It
took
was
like 3, so.
Thank you.
okay. So
Thank
nice
you.
to you. I see a friend also from Alejandra. Okay. So nice to see you all. Thank you. Thank you, Radhika, Luigi, all being part of this family of every day. Thank you so much. See you soon. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.